I had an intro planned for this. I completely forgot what the intro was going to be. So, I mean, it was going to be, I swear, it was going to be a cool intro. It probably was just going to be another song that I like on top of anime footage. But I mean, I think that's cool. I like doing that. So I guess I'll just, I don't know, I'll just play the usual thing.
Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers as well as coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Wow, what wasn't that cool? That was a great intro. Good intro, Mr. Fennekin. You know what else is great? HIDIVE. It's a great place to watch anime. You can watch anime in a bunch of languages like HD and uncensored. And one thing I really like about HIDIVE, this actually is not a meme. I like that they have English dubs and subs available, and something that is really convenient is that if you load up a video and it like plays the English dub and you're like, oh no, I'm allergic to English, then you can just go down and you change the track for the audio and the subs, and like you could just do that on the page. You don't have to like go around the website looking for it and load up a whole different video. So that's really convenient. They have a really practical website design, and that's really good. So you should watch good anime on HIDIVE. If you use the code RA2020, I remember it, it's RA2020, you can get a whole month of HIDIVE for free if you don't want to pay for it, because everybody makes you pay for everything nowadays. Everything is a subscription service now, except for this podcast. But don't get ahead of yourselves. Don't it'll have don't. But yeah, you can use RA2020 and get a month of HIDIVE for free, and you can watch anime on HIDIVE for 30 days for free, or the URL hidive.com/lp/RA2020. That's really good. So shout out to HIDIVE. I like HIDIVE. I'm a simp for HIDIVE. We simp HIDIVE. In this house, all my homies watch HIDIVE. Yeah, good. Okay, bye. Tutoru mofos, welcome back to the RA Anime Podcast. Thank you very much for listening to us, and we hope you're doing well in this terrible nightmare hellscape that is the world right now. We're gonna finish the summer 2020 season with our usual retrospective. If you remember, back in the beginning of the season, or rather at the end of July or beginning of August, whenever it was released, we watched the first episode of every single anime that came out in summer. Fortunately for us, we are not actually obligated to finish any of those anime, so there is a lot that we didn't actually finish. So we're just going to talk about whatever we did actually like enough to watch to completion, or at least have enough to talk about. And after that, we'll just get on with other stuff that we might have done throughout the season, assuming we have time. We probably did, though, because
it was a real bloodbath out there this season, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was pretty slim pickings, let me tell you. But yeah, there was still some decent stuff to talk about, worth talking about. Otherwise, we wouldn't do this podcast. We're here because we care. Anyway, so this season we're bringing back the cast from the first impressions. First up is Sha.
Hey guys, so B Funky followed me back on Twitter, so 2020 was worth it.
Nice. 2020 has been saved. Sha is once again too powerful for anti-Twitter. She is ascended.
Yeah. Thank you guys. It was all worth it.
I still can't wait for her to get the verified check mark so that we can finally cancel her and she'll be destroyed forever.
Just cancel me now. I don't want the check mark.
And not on social media at all, probably doesn't even know what the hell we're talking about, Sinris.
Hi, I am familiar with the checkmark.
Okay.
Are you familiar with B Funky?
No, I don't know who B Funky is.
We do make our 3x3s on there.
Oh! That website has a Twitter?
Yeah, every website has a Twitter except.
What do they tweet about?
Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here like, wait a minute, you guys use a website? I've been using GIMP the entire time.
Yeah.
I've used GIMP before. It was horrible.
I would need to be competent with computer programs in order to not have a website that does it for me.
Exactly.
And that's not the case.
And the now banned from Twitter, our friend F.
Hi, I've been recently suspended from Twitter, but I'm back now.
Literally Kaguya IRL.
It was
Literally
like so
Kaguya
sad.
IRL.
It was so sad because normally when I hear suspended, I think like a temporary ban, not like terminated ban. So when I saw that, you got suspended, and then Critty used the like Kaguya meme of like, I was banned from Twitter. I was like, oh, this is so funny and fitting. But then I'm like, wait, her account cannot come back. Like, this is actually not okay.
Yeah,
Jack, please.
I was actually like IP banned on all my accounts, everyone I've ever made, and then I had to like pull some hacker
Voodoo
man
magic.
shit to bring
Yeah.
it back.
Necromancy.
Yeah.
It's in the season. 'Tis the season for necromancy.
Spooky Twitter account.
Ooh,
Spooky.
All Twitter accounts are spooky.
Twitter is a very spooky, scary place.
Yes,
It's not a good place at all.
is
So
I
not.
agree.
yeah, let's talk about some of these freaking anime, whatever we have left to talk about. The first one is Deca-Dence. And-
Yeah, the good show.
I'm
The
going to
good
start
show.
off by saying that I apologize for the first impressions. I did not do a good job of explaining what Deca-Dence is, but in my defense, I will say it's a testament to the show's quality that none of us really knew what this show was, but we all recommended it anyway.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
your defense,
Yeah.
Deca-Dence did not do a very good job of explaining what Deca-Dence was.
Yeah.
Because
I appreciate. Yeah.
I did not until like the like human characters and the like little cyborg characters actually start physically interacting with each other. I
In,
thought that they were
episode
like
11.
yeah, I thought they were like electronic. I did not realize they existed in like the physical universe. I thought they were like computer programs.
That makes sense. I think it wasn't until the big Omega Godall showed up and it fired a laser and it like hits the spaceship that's above them and it's like, oh, that they're in an actual. Okay, I get what's going on now.
Like it took until then for me to fully understand like what was actually like how that was working.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they established that beforehand.
Honestly, pretty
It was
tough.
rough.
I appreciated
rough.
you kind of like fumbling the explanation. One, because I could not have done a better job, and two, because I said like so much in the past episode that no one could complain about it. So you kind of became the scapegoat. So I felt bad for you, but I was also thankful.
I'm glad you noticed that because I noticed that.
Oh yeah, kill me. So bad.
Speaking of last episode, I was screaming the entire time. I don't know why I was doing that. I'm sorry. So that's why I'm going to talk. I'm going to try to do my best corpse husband impersonation. I like corpse husband now.
I was scared it would come off as rude because I tried to push a few times so I can say something.
I'm sorry.
So I was like, oh shit, I hope that wasn't rude. But yeah, Deca-Dence was rough. I also was like the only person in the impression who has like watched 4 episodes at a time, so I didn't want to say anything. And then the show ended up being meta, to me at least.
Oh, really? I actually liked it quite a lot. As much grief as I just gave it about being kind of unclear with its premise, I thought that even not fully understanding what was happening, I thought that it was really creative. And, I thought I understood better than I did, which is almost as good, because I didn't feel like I didn't understand as I was watching it. It's an interesting sort of like, I don't know, twist on the video game isekai sort of deal.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a very interesting take. I think an interesting show. This is a good take. But I mean, it's like a show that is such an interesting concept that I'm interested to see what happens, even if I feel like they do get a bit muddled in the explanation of what's going on. But it was so much fun just to watch and experience something that felt like such a breath of fresh air, especially in a season that felt like death. I don't know, like not even just like the season itself. It's just like such a bad time in the world and such a bad time for anime because, 2020 coronavirus is making everything tougher. So it was kind of nice to have a completely different setting that had that true like adventure vibe to it.
Yeah. And one thing I really appreciated was how creatively it used its MMO elements, because a lot of the time when it's like enter the game sort of premise, like once they enter the game, the fact that it's a game isn't really relevant.
Yeah.
But I thought it was super cool when like, Kaburagi gets caught by the system and gets deleted. And then he like gets back into the game by like creating an alt account.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's the one fight against against Hugin and Munin, where he basically wins by like double teaming them with his 2 accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it too. It's kind of like you get the full circle of escaping the system, but then getting caught and then overcoming the system, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. All of the ways they used like logging in and out, I thought were really creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way, like, it is a very, very unique take on the sort of MMO game type of anime, and I would say that, like, I'm kind of in the middle between F and Sinris U2, where I don't think this was necessarily mid, but I also don't necessarily think it was great either. Like, the thing about it is that I appreciate it for doing different things, but there's nothing that I can latch on to and say, like, oh, this was an amazing thing about Deca-Dence. Like, I would recommend it for being something different, but there's nothing about it that's like, oh, this scene was incredible, or this character was incredible. It's just like...
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
It was just, like, above average on a lot of different things. Like, it had really good animation, had some pretty good character designs. Even, like, the Deca-Dence itself, like, I thought it looked pretty cool in the way they activate it with all the different... Like, when they activate the big super cannon, it has, like, 10,000 different steps to it. I'm like, okay, it's cool that they thought about this. But there's nothing specific about it that's like, yeah, this really stands out as something really good. It's just unique and different. Which is still, like, definitely... It gets some brownie points for that, at the very least.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that it is a slightly above average show with like slightly above average execution in all ways that's elevated a little bit by like a creative premise and then like a good use of that premise in further creative ways.
I'll put it this way. It's a great seasonal. It's a decent show otherwise. Like, will I recommend this show to people over other shows that... Would I recommend this to people, like, you know, in general over other things that I think are better? No. If they were watching a seasonal and they wanted to get a taste of what was good in 2020, I'd recommend it. But unless there's some kind of like, unless there's some kind of, you know, condition with it, you know, maybe like a good 1 season, 1 core, like action adventure show, then like that's the only criteria in which I'd recommend it. Otherwise, like, you're not going to die from not watching this show.
It's also cool to see it as an expansion of the portfolio of Yuzuru Tachikawa, who, you know, did Mob Psycho and Death Parade. And it's like, you know, it's cool that he's on a different show and is doing something different. And this is also Studio Nut, who has almost exclusively done Yojo Senki up to this point. So it's like, it's cool that these creators are doing something totally different.
Yeah.
And it is an original anime, which is kind of cool, because I know a lot of people love seeing original anime products just in general. So it's a nice production under that, you know, criteria. I do think it's good, but, you know, it's more of a seasonal than a must-watch show I'd recommend people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
F, what about you? You said you were more mid about
please.
this. So what are your complaints about it? Yeah, go ahead.
So I agree that the show was very ambitious, but for me it felt like it really crushed under its own ambitions. For one, it didn't really commit to a lot of its apparently plot. And otherwise, a lot of things are really predictable and kind of cliche. Like the main guy and the main girl eventually fighting and splitting up, and then they come back together and he gets stabbed in the back by the bad guy who looks like he's straight from Kaiba. The show was kind of Kaiba-ish.
We do love Kaiba, though. Oh, I was thinking like Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Because me and Sinner sat down the other day. I do like Kaiba.
Like
the
Yuasa show Kaiba.
No, but like Seto Kaiba.
Yeah, all the cyborgs did look like they were straight out of Kaiba.
Yeah.
The CGI was also super not good.
The last episodes with the Omega God all were like, yeah.
The deeper animation was really good. That's something I noticed. I think the theming of the show was like corporations bad, but I also felt like the whole, like in episode 2, it pans out with this like ad with this is the Deca-Dence on this Earth planet that's like looks poisoned. We never really find out what the fuck happened there on this planet for this to happen. And I was like, where's this world building going?
Like an exposition drop about like climate change or something.
Yeah, they did, but it wasn't like something deep or anything. That was kind of disappointing. So it was kind of like just a frustrating watch for me. I got really pissed. when I watched it. I was episode 8 and was like, what the fuck is this show about? And I finished and was like, well, that was something.
That was a
Especially in
show.
the last scene of the show, it's like her grown up and she looks in the distance and then he appears very obviously it's him and then it just cuts off before we see his face and I literally punched my keyboard when that happened.
Oh yeah, I can like feel this scene. You just feel it. You feel the like clichéness that like, I've seen this before.
Yeah, a lot of it had me like that.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel that.
Did someone else also think like the commander who like operated the Deca-Dence hammer kind of looked like it could have been from Gurren Lagann? Because I felt like that way.
I don't remember what they looked like well enough to.
It looked like a Gurren Lagann character.
Yeah, I don't even remember honestly.
Oh yeah, I thought it
I'll
was
take your
very
word for it.
messy.
Yeah,
I just
I've mentioned this even after in the impressions episode, even after having just seen a single episode of the show. And my opinion on this did not change from watching more. It really felt like they were trying to channel like the Gurren Lagann like Studio Trigger energy throughout the whole thing. And they definitely did not quite pull that off, but I think they did like a reasonable impression.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think it has some similar vibes to that, and it's definitely high energy at different parts.
I like the production on most part, but there's sometimes like lens flares that made no fucking sense. I was like, where does the light come from in this lens flare? Made no sense.
I'll admit I don't have an attention the eye for detail like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
So I
noticed
didn't
that.
notice.
Yeah, like I just recently finished it. I'm like, yeah, I think so. I think I just remember the one part standing out that bothered me is I think they spent so much time trying to do world building that a lot of the like side characters fell short, which was mostly fine because we really didn't need to give a shit. But then they have that one episode of like the main character going around trying to find supplies to fix the hole in the wall. And
that was definitely a weak episode.
Yeah, and like her
her
friend
friend,
is
yeah.
like, well, I didn't want you to save people. I just wanted you to be my friend. And it's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. We're gonna die. Like,
Who the
I don't
fuck
have
are
time for
you?
this shit. It's like that
Yeah.
dumb shit of like, what's their like? There has to be a name or type of character for like these punk ass bitches who put their feelings
Punk
before the
bitch
survival of
motherfucker.
everyone.
It was
What
such
was
a-
it? We
was
have a
such
name for this.
It was such a cliche interaction too. Like, of course, the friend would be like, "I can't believe you're doing the dream you've been dreaming about and not
Yeah.
memeing around with me." And like, where this fuck this? I know nothing about you. I don't care about your internal conflict. You're nothing.
Yeah.
She's
You're
like, I
zero
want to go
character."
shopping. Like, sorry, we want to survive because there's a hole in the wall and we have monsters running around that can just kill us. Like they almost did 10 minutes ago. Like, cry me a river. We got shit to do.
Oh, this is kind of the purple-haired girl at the start that kind of looked like she's gonna be a bully. Was also completely irrelevant to the whole thing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
She was just like, she was basically just a background character, but like extremely over-designed for a background character.
I really
Yeah.
like the design too. That sucks.
And those are like small issues, so it's not a big deal. But it's like, anything more than 10 minutes of screen time to this, and I really just don't care. So
Yeah,
I
true.
did really like all the side characters that like Kaburagi was interacting
yeah.
with in like the prison and everything.
oh yeah, they're bros.
I thought that they were bros. I think they were pretty well developed, at least in terms of like having strong personalities.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah, I
one-eyed
agree.
girl. She has the same voice as Susie from Little Witch Academia.
Yep, she was good. We
Yeah.
stand that voice whenever that kind of voice
Yeah.
shows up in a show. That's always the best character.
That is very much like a trigger sci-fi character.
Yeah.
Yep. We feel.
Also,
Yeah.
but the OST was like super weird. Like, I didn't notice it most of the time. When I tried to pay attention, I was like, wow, this is really generic and kind of just doesn't fit the scene.
Should have gotten some Kevin Penkin for this one.
Yeah, just to get Kevin Penkin to do or get Hiroyuki Sawano to do a show like this.
Yeah.
I just think of that because the combat is very much like Attack on Titan with
It
their.
would have been pretty epic, yeah.
I did like the few scenes we got of the combat were pretty good, where they were like
Yeah.
flying around on their wires and shit.
Yeah.
That was
That's
sick.
pretty cool. I was a fan of the villain. I thought that he was just like that kind of thing where a character like doesn't 100% like fit into the style of
Mm.
the
They're very
show that
long
they're in, and
nose.
it just makes you like kind of uncomfortable whenever they show up.
Yeah.
With a very long nose.
He kind of
like-
looked
like-
flip flappers-ish, you know?
I guess, yeah, he did. I didn't think of
Had
that,
some
but
flip flappers vibes. And I
he
mean,
did
that-
have some
Remember
flip
flappers?
But like the
I
scene,
totally adopted.
the scene where Kaburagi and the main girl, whose name is escaping me, are they're like raiding the like Gattle production facility, and he shows up, and I think it might be the first time. No, it's not the first time that we see him in like human body form.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the second time because we saw him take down Kaburabi
Yeah.
the first time. Kaburabi.
But he shows up there, and then he just like moves straight through space without like any regard for like the physics of moving within like the Gattle bubbles as had been established. And it's like I found that to be like actually like very jarring to see. And likewise, the girl who doesn't know anything about, you know, how he's a cyborg and like part of the game police and everything is like, what the fuck is this guy? Like, how did he just do that? I thought that was executed really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was all right. I gave it a 6 personally.
I gave it a 7. I think it's a very like mid to low 7 for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Give it a 5.
Yeah, I'm a 7. 7. Seasonal 7.
Anime of the season, it's a fucking 7.
Well, I do think we have a better anime of the season contender later on.
Is it this?
We'll see.
Is it this next
don't spoil
one?
it.
Oh, okay. Well, unrelated to that, the next anime on the list is Dokyuu Hentai HxEros.
Okay, so I kind of okay, so I kind of betrayed this one and like didn't finish it, which
Wow.
is kind of. But I'm not going to leave you guys empty-handed because
Okay.
I know one person who did finish it. So I just said like, "Hey, how'd it turn out?" So I will read their thoughts and pretend they're
may I
my
ask
opinion.
Who this is?
It just I don't know if
Is
you know.
that,
it.
is this confidential information? Am I not allowed to know?
No, it's not. No, I don't think anyone's that ashamed about this show. I think it's just like, do you know like Saiyan on Twitter? It's just someone on
Saiyan.
Twitter.
I do. Oh,
You know
no.
him, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
so
think
he's
I
pretty
know.
cool. Yeah,
I
he's
know
pretty cool.
everyone on
He's got a
Twitter.
Shiro avatar because everyone has Shiro avatars right now. I guess it's National Shiro Day. I don't know. That's not
It
my
is,
culture.
actually.
It is actually a thing. Yeah, so
Yes.
I've seen like 50 people with Shiro avatars. Like, I don't know.
I saw the dawn of it, yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that's just it's a thing. So I was like, yo, how'd it turn out? And they said it was a really fun series, absurd but enjoyable. Unironically, I enjoyed it more than OreGairu season 3.
Well,
So-
is that really that high of a
He
bar
can
to set?
admit that because that shit was a fucking snore fest.
I'm excited to hear about that. But yeah,
Aha.
I'm excited for that. That's why I'm here. But yeah, he said it, you know, it was kind of the stuff I raved about in the first episode, like the main character's refreshing. The main girl has a good reason for being a tsundere, and it's like just ridiculous but fun. So I'll stop betraying at some point and actually catch up and have a follow-up comment on if I think it's still good or not, instead of betraying in true 2020 fashion.
All right.
Does she get any less horny?
I don't think she does. I think she remains fate stay horny.
Thank God.
Does
Otherwise,
she gain
we
the
don't have
ability
a
to
show.
control her horniness at all?
I'd hope so. I hope she would use it to control her powers, since I think that's like where their superpowers come from.
All right.
But yeah,
That's all I have to ask about.
I will report back. But yeah, we have positive vibes.
Cool.
Wow, what a great show.
Yep. What a great season.
Yeah.
Great season.
Speaking
What a
of,
great year.
Speaking of, we want to. None of us watched this, but we think this is very
None of us watched
fascinating. We would like to take this time to congratulate Gibiate on being the first anime to ever have a 4.0 average on my anime list.
Hey, let's go.
So that's a
Very
2020
happy.
show.
Very happy
That's
for you.
actually an accomplishment because in the anime community, you always have that one guy who's like, I didn't think it was that bad, even though it was always that bad. Like, no matter how bad the show is, you got one defender who's out there singing its praises, either because like they finished it, so they feel they have to, or, you know, they just have no standards or are just too nice. They're honestly too nice. So like even for the most like 1 out of 10 shows, you always have that one guy who's like, it's not that bad. It's like a 6 out of 10. The opening was kind of okay. You know, this one girl's cute. They fought once. It was not that bad. And then that's like, no one is there for the show.
Yeah.
Like even that guy is not here. So
I mean, in its slight mild defense, like when we all watched the first episode, did we get the impression that this would be the literal worst anime ever?
No, I even defended it a little bit.
Like I think we were all just like, yeah, it's bad, but it's not like offensively
Yeah.
terrible, I suppose.
It's not even the worst I've seen.
If
It
you
should
had
say
told
something.
me after I watched the first episode that it was going to be the lowest rated anime in the history of Maou, I would not have been surprised.
In
but
hindsight, it's like, okay,
Good way of putting
that tracks, yeah.
But if you had told me at the beginning of the season to guess which of the shows from this season would become the lowest rated of all time, I probably wouldn't have picked this one. I might have, but probably.
It's in the running. It's up there. But it's fascinating to me that not only is this the lowest rated anime on Maou, but it's significantly lower than everything. Like I'm fascinated by stats. I've been kind of following this a little bit, and I think for a
Same.
while, Glass Lip was the lowest rated anime at 5.55, lowest full length anime at least. And then I think it was dethroned in like 2016 by some shit. And then in 2017 there was The Reflection, which I actually did watch. That was like it's actually kind of similar to Gibiate, where it's like, oh, look at these creators we have attached to this show, because The Reflection was labeled as an anime, like a Marvel superhero anime written by Stan Lee.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about
I remember now.
I'm pretty sure what actually happened is Stan Lee like wrote the concept of the story down and just gave it to someone like that. It was not good.
Right.
That was actually like one thing where I'm like, we were talking about earlier, where it's like, okay, it wasn't necessarily that bad. But I think that was the lowest rated anime for a bit. And then it went to, that was like 5.3. And then the very next season, we got King's Game, which was 5.1.
Oh, that shit.
Great anime, King's Game, fucking masterpiece.
I was
So,
going to say, I thought, didn't you like King's Game?
King's Game is, I mean, yes, but also it sucks.
I
Yes,
gave
but
it a
not
1.
because it was good. Got
Yeah.
it.
I gave it a 1, so Mom's probably gave it a high 9-10.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's a Maz show. And then what happened after that? Oh, wait, actually that actually, believe it or not, wasn't the lowest rated anime. This very same season, this show called Dynamic Chord came out, and there was like a Sakuga article that I read about it. It was pretty fascinating. That was 4.67, so that was the first one to break the 5 barrier or whatever.
Okay.
And then I think it was last year we got another one that went a little bit below. I forgot what it was. It was like some show that no one watched. But now we're at Gibiate at an even 4.0.
Pretty impressive that it's a solid 4.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
really
glad-
astounding.
It
I'm
is
glad
pretty-
anime beats out itself every year.
Mm-hmm.
the anime becomes more of a-
I feel like this has to be the lowest it goes. Like how is it possible? Like,
Well,
what will
the
happen
lowest it
to
goes
get
so
lower?
far.
But like, what will come
Yeah.
out in the future? Like, I'm scared to think about what could possibly come out that everyone will think is even worse than this.
What's astounding to me is that it's an even 4. The most common score that people have given it on Maou is a 4. 21%
Yep.
of people who watched it gave it a 4. I wouldn't have even guessed that 2,400 people on Maou used the 4 score.
That is the joke, right? 7 out of 10 is usually the average.
Yeah.
You know what is unfortunate though is I was wrong. There are 192 people who gave it a 10, so that guy who will defend the show is still out there.
No,
They
I
exist.
think
I'm
when you
sure
see
those
a show
people are
like this,
trolling.
yeah, when you see a show like this, that's like, as soon as it was pointed out that this is the lowest rated anime of all time on Maou, people came on to give it a 10.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's
like
true.
the people
That is true.
who make accounts to give Full Metal Alchemist a 1.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like no one actually thinks this.
Yeah. I feel that.
138 people gave it a 9. I think those are the ones you want to speak to.
Those are
they
the
might have
sus
liked it. I'd like to
Yeah.
have an interview with them. Just have
They're
a
gonna
little
show
sit
up in
down
our
talk and
comment
be like,
section.
okay,
They're gonna show up in our comment
this?
section and be like, "Hey guys, it was not that bad," and they're gonna say it word for word because it's not actually. No one has another phrase. It's not like, "Hey, I actually like the show." It's, "Guys, it's not that bad." And once you have to say it's not that bad, it already is that bad.
Guys, it gets better later. Don't worry about it. The first episode might have been
Someone's
bad.
gonna say that, and it's like, I know y'all dropped it at episode 1. Episode 2 is where it gets good, though.
If that happens, you have to screenshot it and send it to me in DMs so I can have a good laugh at it.
It's definitely happening, but yeah. Cheers to Gibiate, the most 2020 anime,
Beautiful.
of all time.
Congratulations. We're very proud of you. You deserve it. So, let's talk. Oh,
Speaking of deserving,
I was about to say, let's talk about some good shows now, but no. Next, we have Friend to Girlfriend. Oh boy.
Has anyone completed this besides me?
No, but I have a snarky comment.
Let's
So
go.
I feel like
No, I haven't watched it, but I do have a snarky comment.
I do
Ja, I
not.
love you.
I do. I love you too. I don't have, educated thoughts, but I do have sass. And, I think Rent a Girlfriend is kind of like that thing that you like ironically that you then start liking unironically. And then you kind of like get a moment of self-reflection and you're like, what am I doing? It's kind of like well, I'm not going to compare it to the Jersey Shore because that's better than Rent a Girlfriend. But, it's kind of like that same thing where you don't take it seriously and then it becomes huge. And then you're like, wait, what happened? Because Rent a Girlfriend, the manga, has over 6 million volumes in sales. Like, it's outsold Beastars. And I feel like, I think we've gone far enough. I think we got to stop. Like, we just kind of got to stop as a society with the Rent a Girlfriend shit. Like, it was kind of cute at first. But I also saw an article from Crunchyroll that was like, why?
I was just gonna mention that.
Oh yeah, you mention it.
Okay, so I just saw Crunchyroll write an article on how Rent a Girlfriend is like the best rom-com in recent years. In the opening segment, they don't even mention Kaguya at all.
I do really like Tay's comment on it, where he said, "You guys lost the license of Kaguya, so now you have to sync to this."
Yeah. And that's it. Like, that's actually why they're saying that, is because they want more people to watch Rent a Girlfriend. But that's why we all have to have the self-control to just say, this is enough. This is it.
I read the review. I read the article and I hated it. I hated it so much.
It's like, we got to stop. We got to, readjust. Kaguya just came out. We're okay. We don't need this. We have self-respect. We can go on with our lives. That's like the most like dumbass fucking speech of like trying to be inspirational and love yourself, but it's really just Rent a Girlfriend. Like, who cares? If you like it, I don't care.
If you love yourself, please do not watch Rent a Girlfriend. Or you could you could at least do the Sinris method and just watch the first episode. Because Sinris, you were like totally, you completely nailed this.
I think
watch the first episode and then don't watch the rest of the show.
The first episode is good, yeah. Yeah, watch it as like a 1-episode OVA. Because I'm with you on that. I support that.
And then as soon as he says, like, I guess I'll never see her again, turn it off. Because the last scene of the episode just, like, ruins the whole thing.
Exactly.
And we're going to have the people. Oh, no, go ahead.
I will say it's pretty funny. On Maou, this has a 7.37, which is a pretty good score. That's like average seasonal.
That is an average.
I would say like 7.5 is average seasonal. For at least like when you're at the top of the chart and a lot of people are watching it.
Okay,
actually, I would say it's actually pretty low for something so popular.
Yeah.
I would say something is so popular, which should be a 7.5.
What's funny about it is that despite that...
7.5?
It's higher than Nisekoi. It's higher than Nisekoi. Do we support that? Because I don't support that. Nisekoi is 7.67.
This is not high, is it?
7.67?
No. This is the
numbers podcast. I love
7.37.
We're a stats podcast now.
Yeah, it's not higher than Nisekoi. Everything is fine.
No, it is higher than Nisekoi. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, are we okay with that? Are we okay?
It's not.
No, it's not, Jeff.
Oh, it's not higher.
7.6 is Nisekoi.
And this is 7.3.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you guys said 7.5.
No, I was saying popular seasonal should have a 7.5.
Oh,
excuse me.
Apologize for the confusion.
No, this episode is really the podcast episode that this season deserves.
Shaw can't pronounce normal words. Now she can't pronounce normal numbers.
They're all just like mixed up in my head. Whoops.
But the most popular review of the show is a review that gave it a 2. And it begins with, if there is one anime character this year that I want to punch, one character that I want to throw off a bridge, or one character that I simply want to say, you're pathetic to their face, it would be Kazuya Kinoshita.
That's funny because that's how I feel about this reviewer at Lamau.
I just looked at him. Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like him.
Mal review shade being thrown.
I loved it.
Mal review drama.
I love that you guys recognize reviewers.
Oh yeah,
He
because
reviews
we read
every
this all the
anime.
time.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
he
impressive.
was every anime.
Yeah, I strongly considered actually like finishing this. You know, when we pushed the episode back, I've got a little extra time to like squeeze one more thing in. I was like, I could watch Rent a Girlfriend purely so that I can be angry at it, you know, and like do you know like a
upset,
Senko-san on
disappointed.
this show
Yeah.
or whatever. And then I was about to start doing that, and I was like, you know, life sucks right now, and I really don't want to make it worse for myself.
Yeah,
You
I
practice
practice self-love.
self-love.
Because
So,
I went in the show.
I did something else instead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I like in impressions. I went into the show thinking I would come out with like a 4. I didn't expect a 2. I should have maybe.
What do you think makes it a 2 instead of a 4? Because some people might be like, oh, that's harsh, or, you know, whatever. But, you know, you use the full 1 to 10 scale. So giving something a 2 and not a 4 definitely means something to you.
Yeah, doing stuff. So first of all, Kazuya is literally an incel. And something all these positive reviews or articles talk about are like, oh, he develops over the time of the show, but he doesn't. In fact, he actually gets enabled in his toxicity, which I wrote in my review, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chizuru starts out with like scolding him, right? But that stops happening halfway through the show. And then other things happen that just constantly enable his behavior. Like this other random girlfriend shows up and they run into each other and she flashes her panties and there's this whole scene and I'm just rolling my eyes against the back of my head and everything. And the heart rate goes up and there's this whole ass backstory about her heart rate shoved into the ED. Yes, into the ED, not the episode. And then she decides on that fact that the heart rate went up because she has a heart condition. This is not further explored whatsoever. That she now is in love with him. Yes, that's the reasoning.
Wow, I have a heart condition. That means I'm in love with him. Okay.
She's also underage. She's like 16, while everyone is like 19 plus.
No, come on. We don't need that.
And it gets worse. And then it's like, so she's into him, but he's not into her because now he's in love with Chizuru. And she meets his grandma. The grandma is literally in love with Chizuru too. She says this. She says, I am in love with Chizuru.
So like the confession type love, not like, oh, I want her as my granddaughter.
Yeah, it's kind of like the.
No.
She said like I can't believe this sack of bones could fall in love with like a college girl or something. It was like, oh, what is this? What am I watching? And like in an early episode, like Kazuya goes out of his way to stalk Chizuru the entire day because he sees her with like another dude who just ends up being a professional actor and she wants to get into acting. That's why she hung out with him. It's all this real weird shit. And the show is like shot like an ecchi, but it isn't. Like constant boob ass leg shots. And the show just looks ugly as fuck with the backgrounds. If anyone has seen the background screenshots.
I don't think I have.
Oh no. Do I have them still? I have to show you now. But they're like, all the outlines are shaky as fuck. And oh my god. And something I haven't seen in a while in a show is when there's like, you know, the show looks kind of eye candy when it's like a close up and everyone looks pretty, right? With the eyes too.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment there's like a wide shot, like it's zoomed out, all the proportions are off. It looks awful, especially to the relation to the backgrounds. I was just losing my fucking mind the whole time I watched the show. The backgrounds weren't good. The music was misplaced. It was like Tetris music sometimes, like video
Tetris
games,
music.
Nice.
like video game music. And I was like, "What is this? Gamers? Remember Gamers? That was a rom-com a few years ago." Yeah. What else can I say? Yeah, but nobody in any review mentioned anything about the artwork, so just had to write one because this is not okay that nobody mentions this at all.
The art just begins and ends.
Enabler show. Don't watch it. It sucks.
But F, you're forgetting about the best part about this main character, and it's that one time he planted a fucking flower.
Oh my god.
So I watched 5 episodes of this. At first I was enjoying this show, and then it kind of became into like, it's stupid, but it's enjoyably stupid, and then it just got fucking stupid, and I'm like, all right, I'm fucking done. When we got to the part where the main character's grandma was fondling Chizuru, I'm like, okay, this show is actually bad
Yeah,
now.
that sounds like the time to pack it up.
Okay, so how's this go? Okay, so there's, of course, the whole conflict about Kazuya and Chizuru, like they say they're dating in front of everybody, but then at some point when all of the whole gang's together, all of his friends are together and everybody, and then he's just like, actually, me and Chizuru were thinking about breaking up. Like, this relationship isn't really working. And it's like, okay, cool, conflict dissolved right there, fine. So one of Kazuya's fucking dumb shit friends, he like pulls Chizuru aside and he's like, "Hey, let me tell you about this story one time. One time, Kazuya planted a flower, and he worked really hard on taking care of this flower, even though no one else gave a shit. And and it turned out to be like a really cool flower. So basically, that means that even though I don't understand your relationship, I don't know what's going on, but like you clearly just don't see the best parts about Kazuya, even though you've been dating for a month and you should theoretically know this person by now. But he planted a flower one time, so like don't break up with him." And that's like
It's basically it.
and that's like the reason for their relationship to continue. That's why this is particularly bad, because it's like have you ever felt bad for a character just for existing? Like, I think Chizuru is a good girl, and it's like I look at her and I'm like, you don't deserve this. You deserve to be
I agree.
in a good show. But
From the bottom of my heart, I agree.
but after a while, it's like she continues to get strung along by everything. Like, it's one thing that she got strung along by her grandma, by Kazuya's grandma, and it's like, well, I like your grandma, and I don't want her to be upset, so I'll pretend to date you for a little bit. But then it's like, when this guy gives her some fucking bullshit sob story about Kazuya, like, she still goes along with it, and it's like, you are allowed to stand up for yourself and say no. You should have your own agency. You don't have to do this. That's why it just totally ruins everything. Even this one character who I thought was good, it was ruined. The most interesting thing about the show, I thought in the beginning, was the whole conflict with his ex-girlfriend, Mammy. That just like gets totally dissolved without any like that same character who told the story about the flower, it's like he read the entire script ahead of time, so he just is just like, hey, I know that you're fucking around with everybody and you're trying to ruin everything, so stop that. And that's the end of that conflict. And I don't know if anything happens with her ever again, but she was by far the most interesting thing about the show, and then she just gets tossed to the wayside. And
possibly
yeah.
my least favorite thing to come across in anime is exactly what you just described about how, like, when a female character like exerts some agency to decide and like express that they're not into the main character, and then events conspire against them to like force them to act completely out of character and decide actually they do love them after all.
I have like a thing to call these things. I call them victim of the narrative.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
That's
that.
exactly it.
It's like
She's
the show is trying so hard to play on how relatable the main character is for being shit that they don't actually give you a good reason as to why the main girl would want to have a relationship with him. And it's like, at some point, you kind of have to make your own character have redeeming qualities so we can say, like, yeah, they deserve a relationship.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I will say, I at least got far enough to see the best scene of the entire show, which justifies watching it up to at least 5 episodes. And it's that. Okay, so after this, there's the beach episode, you know, where all that stuff takes place. And afterwards, all right, so Kazuya gets a text from someone, or whatever. He gets a picture of his ex-girlfriend in wearing her hot stars and stripes bikini. And he's like, all right, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. They start playing this fucking hype-ass music, like this fucking epic, fucking rock-based montage music, and he gets out the tissues, and he fucking starts going in. They fucking show all this. They don't pull any punches.
Are you serious?
They start fucking, he starts fucking jacking it to this girl, this fucking hot-ass fucking titties, and you get to see him in his dream image. You get to see him pinning down this girl and fucking going at her, and he's fucking jacking it, and he's jacking it, and as this is happening, you see clips of Chizuru, all the wonderful experiences he's had with Chizuru, and how nice of a person she is, and how much he's helped him, and how, you know, she is like a really nice person who does good things or whatever, and then he fucking finishes, and then at the end, he's like, I'm in love with Chizuru now. That's how that's how it's revealed that he has feelings for this girl. That is the revelation of him having feelings for the main girl. It's the most amazing thing I've ever fucking seen.
I almost respect that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of in the respect tier. Like, that's pretty dank. It's fitting within the themes of the show, as the tissues have been foreshadowed. Also, good job, Maz. Good,
sounds like a
scene.
scene.
Good read.
Trisha made me awkward as fuck.
That sounds like a scene that in like a more tasteful show could actually like
if that was in Tatami
be
Galaxy.
good. Yeah, right.
I could see that with Johnny. Like, that could be a Tatami Galaxy scene.
Yeah.
Can't believe I can't find the screenshot, man.
I have an issue that Mami still has more favorites than Chizuru on Maou. I mean, she's like probably more interesting, but I still kind of have beef with this.
It's actually that's actually really fascinating because even though she has so many favorites, there's also like this collective total fucking lambasting of this character where like I just see everyone just like, yeah, fuck this girl. Like, just absolutely.
You see like the opening?
Yeah. Oh,
the opening where they edit her part of the opening with a trash can spinning around.
I haven't seen that, but I at least saw. I saw this video of the guy dancing to. He starts dancing along with Chizuru, but then when Mami's part in the OP shows up, he just like punches his screen and then like runs it over with a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm going to send some backgrounds in the chat now, so have fun with that.
All right,
good.
I'll put those on screen.
Beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
But I think
for me, every time it like checks off, it feels like a torture method for me because I'm being punished for paying attention.
Oh yeah, this is stupid.
Wow, this is amazing.
I said I can't find the legendary shot, and my main suspended, so I can't.
This girl's really cute though. This is the girl that's into Kazuya.
The girl with the bow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ruka.
Yeah, that's a cute design.
The fuck?
Yeah.
She's a cute design.
I don't like the other girl's design. Probably the 16-year-old. I don't know.
No, Ruka's the 16-year-old.
Oh.
Do you mean the redhead one? The redhead?
Yeah, I hate her design.
What did she do to you?
I don't know. I look at it and my eyes don't like it.
What's past trauma?
I don't. Yeah, it's like my eyes are like, I reject this. She looks better in the manga. They gave her like super eyebrows.
That's probably why
She's
the manga's popular, because the cute waifus.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped. I kind of like have started tuning out to manga sales because like after seeing the absolute dominance of Kimetsu no Yaiba on the charts, I'm like nothing makes sense anymore, so I don't care.
Yeah, but that's a bit more deserved than this.
Kimetsu no Yaiba is good.
I mean,
I hate shonen.
I think it's just like, I mean, do I actually hate that this show is successful? Not really. I think that's kind of cool. And I know some people out there probably really enjoy it and find it a breath of fresh air. So that's kind of fine for them. And that's kind of cool. If people like it, I'm glad it's successful. Congrats on the season 2.
Yeah.
I'll just
Congrats on the biggest opening weekend in the history of.
No, I meant for Rent a
Japanese
Girlfriend.
cinema.
I'm genuinely happy about.
Well, yeah, but
no,
it is
I'm
getting a
genuinely
second
happy
season
about-
anyway, so.
Yeah, no, I'm genuinely
It
happy
checks out.
about Demon Slayer. I think that's actually really cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, different thing. This is like, I don't like it, but I'm happy for you, handshake. The other one's like, Demon Slayer, let's change the industry, get more money in, let's go, good job. You know,
Got it. Okay.
feel more bro about
I
that.
misunderstood. Yes, I
No, that
completely
was
agree.
my confusion. But yeah. Pogs to Demon Slayer.
Get that bag, UFO table. Just remember
Pay
to pay
your
your
taxes,
this
bro.
time.
Pay your taxes.
Also, for the record, I don't hate shonen. I just think there are a lot of really bad ones.
That's fair.
No, you got it. No,
But
just
good
stick
ones
with
are
the
really good.
stick with the intent. Like, no,
Yeah.
shonen bad. We gotta have extreme opinions.
Yes.
I did. I saw a
For the
tweet from a Japanese TV station. It said Kimetsu no Yaiba season 2 is production, but I've seen no other news whatsoever about it. So I don't know if
I believe it.
I believe
We're
it.
probably gonna remake Demon Slayer a million times with those sales. Like, that's
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable sales. Like, remake it once a year just for the sake of it.
Literally just remake the first season right now.
Yep.
Kimetsu no
How about
Yaiba.
each studio
You
takes a
could ju-
chance?
Kimetsu no Yaiba could be like the Skyrim of anime, where they just release the same thing over and over again.
It'd be like the Assassin's Creed. Do you know there's like 23 Assassin's Creed games out?
God.
There's that many.
Yeah, there's a
I guess I'm
shit
not
ton.
surprised.
It's weird. Yeah, there's so many.
When did I
Yeah.
stop? I don't even remember.
I don't either.
Fuck.
I
Who
haven't
knows?
Alright.
played since Ezio.
I,
Anyway,
Shall we
Oh, you're
move on?
long gone. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
so that was a nice thorough discussion about Rent a Girlfriend, despite one person watching it.
yeah.
You're welcome.
All right, but I think we won't have as much to say about this one. This is Lapis Relights.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
this
watch
the Otomegi?
No, I think this is the
Or
idol
is
one.
this the witch school?
This is the
Witch
Witch
School.
School. None of them wear
Okay.
witch hats, so this is a bad anime.
How many negative points does it get for that?
A lot.
It's not even a witch show.
No, I gave it a 4. Although at the very least, like I usually wouldn't have completed this anime in a normal setting. And maybe I shouldn't have anyway, just even in this shortened season. But I don't know. It was like, I don't know. It was almost like the definition of, I hate using this fucking term though, but turn your brain off sort of thing. It's just like, there's some kind of cute girls who have colorful hair, and that's all I need, I guess.
That's fair.
It's,
Yeah, that's the impression it gave off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, it was actually almost good in a way where it's like, kind of like what I was saying about Deca-Dence. It's that it doesn't do a lot, well, this show in particular, it does a lot of things, and it doesn't really necessarily do anything bad, but it doesn't necessarily do anything great either. It's just like kind of all right in lots of different ways. Like, I kind of like the setting. I kind of like the character designs. I kind of like some of the characters themselves. I remember there being some kind of decently funny moments in here. There was like an episode with this magical dodgeball sport that was like kind of fun. So
Oh,
it
we
was like,
stand magical sports.
Yeah,
Those
we
are
span-
always good.
yeah, it was all right. It was just that overall, nothing was like outstanding about it. And I think the only reason why it started dropping for me is because at the very end, believe it or not, one of the most interesting things I thought about the show in the beginning is that there is this group aspect to it where everyone, like, you form groups in this school, and then, like, basically you get graded on various things, and by the end of some point, like at the end of the semester, if you have a failing grade, then everyone in the group gets expelled.
That's kind of dope.
Yeah, that was interesting. Spoiler alert for Lapis Relights. I'm sure everyone really cares, but that actually happens to them at some point in the season, kind of late into the
really?
season. Yeah, there was like a sort of weird, like they do this idol performance that to try and get a lot of points, but they like, because they do a really weird version of it, they kind of technically mess up in some strange way, so they end up getting expelled. And it's like, all right, that's interesting. Believe it or not, I think the show gets a lot worse after that point, probably just because it becomes more of just like a straight-faced, almost like a straight-faced drama where not a lot is going on. It's just kind of straight plot at this point. And I think I liked the show more when it was just doing a bunch of various things. So I think that's it.
That makes sense. That's kind of cool. It's willing to take risks and actually have them fail, though. It's kind of dope.
Yeah, I respect that.
Sure.
Yeah.
If this turns out to be like a really big popular franchise, then I am fine with that.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
No one else watched this?
No.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Fair enough. Understandable. Have a good day.
I definitely had it pegged for probably one of the better shows of the season, but
Yeah.
not good enough for me to care.
I guess considering that I only finished like 5 shows, and yeah, I guess this was one of the better shows of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we actually get to talk about another one of the shows that's worth talking about.
Yes.
One of the good.
The Misfit of Demon King Academy.
So
you
this
guys,
show,
like this.
Yes.
This show was running as like a quintessential 5 for me for most of the runtime. And then at like the end of the second to last episode, there is actually like a really sick twist. That made me respect it a lot more. And it's like a strong 6 now for me.
Ooh.
Nice.
So relatively pretty good. Definitely one of the better shows of the season.
Are you able to reveal the twist, or is that information too sensitive to let the masses know?
Sure, I will reveal the twist. So like the premise of the show, right, is that the main character is the reincarnated form of like this ancient demon king from 2000 years ago. And like the entire society that they live in is based on like waiting for him to come back to life. But as is revealed in the second episode, in over the course of like the 2000 years since he was last alive, like his name got like passed down wrong through history, so he's not like recognized as the Demon King now. And then as a little bit more time goes on and it explores the world a little more, it's revealed that it's not just that like his name was recorded wrong or like misremembered, it's that someone else has like altered the historical records in order to like pose as the Demon King and like erase the real one from history. So it sets up a kind of interesting mystery, like the like 7 demon emperors who were like his servants 2000 years ago and are immortal, so they're still around, all like had their memories of 2000 years ago erased, so they're serving the wrong guy now, and he has to like slowly one by one like defeat them and like win them back over to like recognizing him as the real Demon King and everything. Meanwhile, we're interspersed with like flashbacks of 2000 years ago. And like other figures in like the war where he was defeated. And different characters in the modern era are also reincarnations of different people from the past and everything. So one of the characters who's introduced a little ways into the show is like the only other male character in the show. His name is Lei. And we are initially led to believe that Lei is the reincarnation of the main character's like servant from his previous life, who was like a great sword master and everything. However, in the second to last episode, it is revealed that this fake demon lord is actually Lei in disguise. And not only that, but that Lei is actually the reincarnation of the human hero who killed him 2000 years ago.
Cool, actually.
It is pretty cool. And Lei, I actually think, is like one of the standout characters of the season.
It was
Wow.
pretty good.
Yeah, he's like, again, he's not extraordinary, but he's a pretty good character. And I really like the way the show treats him. Like, something that was unexpected about the whole show is that, it doesn't actually really have any harem elements, despite mostly just being the main character surrounded by tons of girls.
I don't know about that necessarily.
Well, he's got like the fan club, right?
Yeah.
But like the fan club doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
the show like never lingers on them. They never make a thing out of like all of the fangirls being super into him or anything. Like, they're there, but it's clearly not what the show cares about. And in fact, the only like romantic subplot is between Lei and one of the girls in the fan club.
Yeah.
So setting him up to actually like be the betrayer who we've been like trying to figure out the identity of for the entire show actually took me like 100% by surprise, which is especially impressive because they do like seed that possibility earlier in the show. It is well foreshadowed.
So you're telling me it's a better reveal than Erased.
Yes, absolutely 100% a better
So
reveal.
the show is better than Erased.
This show is better than
this show
Erased.
I have
Oh,
no
is there
hesitation in
something?
saying that this show is better than Erased. Absolutely none.
Speaking of Erased, there's an Erased like show in this season, which we get to later.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know.
I have no
Oh
idea.
yeah. We'll see. Yeah.
Will be a big plot twist.
Yeah. I hate that you make me want to watch this show now. Like, why did you do that?
It's actually a pretty decent show.
Good show.
Well, like, now I'm gonna go out of my way to watch this show because you made it sound good, and I'm sure it's actually good. But then it's like, but then what? Will we now? But then, what is the end goal? Like, yeah, I'll see a good anime, but at what cost?
At the cost that you will see something that feels complete at the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like too high of a cost, so I'm willing to make it happen.
I
It's
mean,
like
what?
something because usually these demon lord whatever LNs they have gone forever, but this one feels like it's done. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it had a
It's dope.
surprisingly conclusive final episode, and they like usually they immediately announce the second season of shows like this, like they did for Hami Fura. And is Cautious Hero getting a second season? I forgot about that.
what show?
Cautious Hero. Maybe
Oh
not.
no, that not.
Okay. But yeah, this one does seem like it's over, so that's cool.
I want to just mention something. The twist I kind of saw coming since he was introduced because I just guessed it, but I
Oh,
still
you did? Okay.
because I saw him coming and like, oh, he's gonna be the reincarnation of the hero, and I was right.
Well, they
'Cause
like
I've imagined perfect foresight.
Yeah.
in the they tricked you because in the episode where Leia is introduced, they started out with a flashback to 2,000 years ago, where like the Demon King's servant is like, before I die, like grant me a wish that I can be reincarnated in the future. And he's like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And then that guy just like never actually shows up in the future.
Yeah.
But
That's,
so that they get
yeah,
you
I
with the
think
red
it's,
herring.
I had like a few ideas. I was just begging for the show to not make him a girl on reincarnation, and he wasn't. So I
Oh
was like,
god,
yeah,
and he
thank
wasn't.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I just really liked how the whole thing was just kind of romantic, shown in the whole show. Like Voldemort
Yeah.
always looks back, like he fights him. He's like, "You're not even strong enough as the hero from 2,000 years ago," and then fucks him up and talks about how great the hero is, and it was very nice.
Yeah.
That was cool. I liked that.
This show is surprisingly, it's like weirdly wholesome, I think.
It is.
I think so too.
It's
like
really wholesome.
it's like an a darker take on reincarnated as a slime, because that show is about Rimuru like kind of establishing his power and controlling everything and being like, all right, I'm gonna rule everything and it's gonna be my world, and in this world everyone's gonna get along and they're gonna be my friend. That's what we're gonna do. In this one, he kind of it's kind of like the same thing where he asserts his dominance, but he's like actually just like nice to the people who follow. Like anytime he needs to actually fight someone and show how scary OP he is, it's when someone else is talking shit. So he's like, yeah, don't do that anymore. I'm the real Demon King. Fuck you.
Listen, say what you will about the Demon King and his atrocities, but the man cares about family values.
Exactly.
It sounds kind of like one of those cases of like an over underdog where like they're actually overpowered, but they're kind of the underdog in the situation. And I think those are always really fun.
He's definitely never the underdog in any situation. Like we're talking about a show where he kills a god in episode 4, and then like 2 episodes, and then 2 episodes later is like, yes, I've only been at 10% of my old power this whole time, but now I have it all back.
Cool. when this one guy escaped to like the time realm and borrowed the powers of the time god. And they were like in a different space and all the visuals went crazy. And then when he was about to leave because he was losing, he just cut his legs off so he couldn't leave. It was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He actually did that. So cool. It's very bold. Like people just get stabbed and it's bloody and everything. Like holy shit.
Yeah, it has a good sense of humor too. Like I really like his like sense of sass.
Yeah. And he's always
like
smiling.
There's a bit in like the second or third episode that stands out to me when someone is like, doing the like typical anime protagonist where they're like, Shine, die! And he's like, no, that's a hard pass.
Can we make that like a soundbite?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
This anime, if we finally have an answer, or I forgot how to put this, but basically in this anime, people do not die when they are killed. Actually,
yes.
He even like says that he's
his
like
signature move is to like kill someone and then just like instantly bring them back to life to shit talk them.
Yeah.
I kind of love this. Damn it, I'm watching this show. Damn it.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines was when like someone supposedly kills him and then he comes back to life and he's like, "Did you really think killing me would make me die, Maou?" Like he does that multiple times in the entire series. It's like, "Oh, do you think that erasing my entire existence would be enough to kill me, Maou?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good show. I love this main character. I actually honestly kind of liked all the characters in this. I thought they were all good.
Me too. I enjoyed them a lot.
I
think it's, like,
agree.
one of the better ones in the genre, so I don't regret it all having watched it. So I know a show can be good in this way.
Oh, and speaking of the sort of harem aspects that we were talking about, I like probably my favorite part in the whole series was when he's fighting this academy and the sort of top, like I don't really know what was going on, but like the top student has like this spirit bomb power where he collects the energy of everyone around him who believes in him, and he's like, yeah, I've got like the power of 2 million people at right here, and I'm going to destroy you with it. And then Anos Voldy Goat is like, bitch, I have a fan club and they're going to fucking sing for me.
Oh, okay, yeah. The fan club singing was not good.
I loved it. It was the best thing ever.
I thought it was amazing.
I definitely just tuned out whenever he was like, fan club idol power up attack.
It was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, this was good. I gave it a 7. It's a decent 7.
I also gave it a 7.
I gave it a 6.
Exact same score.
That's fair.
But a 6 for me is a 7 for you.
Exactly.
It has been known.
So yeah, that's good. Finally, nice to have one of these in this genre that I like. I'm usually not keen on these Demon King anime anymore, but this one was good.
I don't know what it is about like the phrase Demon King that anime is so horny for.
I don't know.
The evil power and the OPness.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, Demon King. That means he's the antagonist, but he's the main character. Ooh, edgy.
Yeah.
Right. But this one is doing it right.
It's like being a beater, but you're a demon king. That was an SAO reference. I'm sorry.
I
thought Maz was just like, fuck off.
Speaking of fuck off, here's the god of high school.
I actually kind of like this one too.
Oh,
Did
you have to
you?
be joking.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
This is not F culture at all.
Fight.
Just
This
like the
is not-
show. A.
I don't know,
Explain
like
yourself.
I thought it was fun. I thought it had like a good fight animation, good choreography. I finished it. I'm never going to think about it again once we're done recording this podcast. But,
You better not.
like, I don't necessarily need to. I thought it was fine. And
I
it
don't
goes full Journey to the West at the end. Which,
I don't consider something
which is always a big plus for me.
good action choreography when you can't even see the punches hit the target they're aiming at.
Yeah.
That was a big part of it. Or like, this series having zero substance and everything being rushed to death.
Yeah,
Just skip,
I
130
am
chapters
told
or something.
it was like insanely rushed, which I believe. But you also could have just told me that like it had a kind of shitty plot, and I would be like, yeah, that explains it.
I mean, I think that too. That it's just
Why
by
not
default.
both?
Yeah, I mean, right.
From the bottom of my heart, it has a shitty plot, even if it hadn't been rushed.
I don't know. I think it had like kind of fun characters. I think it had like pretty good fights. And that's all it really needed.
That's what they all say. They just keep coming, and now we have this.
I definitely didn't see anything in it to be like upset about, aside from the one episode where like the one female character is like, I'm going to get married now.
Oh, that was so bad.
Yeah, that episode was very bad. But aside from that, that's the only one that I was definitely just like, all right, this sucks.
I think it was cool because I only didn't drop it immediately because the score was an 8 or more, so I was like, hate watching it, and I'm glad that as a community we reached a 7.2 on it.
Jesus.
For something that
Used
is
to be
so
an 8?
popular. Yes, it was an 8.
Wow.
At like episode 1, 2, 3. And then it just
Okay, well, it definitely
down.
shouldn't be an 8.
Yeah, but now it's a 7.2, and I'm glad, and I'm proud of everyone who did this. We achieved our dreams.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like mildly cool. So I gave it a 6.
I will not try to kill you for this. Has anyone else seen it?
No, I dropped it after 2 episodes. I will like defend it in a way where I didn't think anything was like particularly bad about it. I just got no real enjoyment out of it because it just seemed like it was just like I felt like I could get the same amount of appreciation by going on Sakagoboru and just watching a bunch of clips from there.
You're probably right.
Yeah, that kind of feels like the vibe. Like you'd probably just watch an AMV, like see the clips set to an AMV and be like, yeah, I've seen the show, it's good.
Like the one thing I've seen from this beyond the first 2 episodes is I saw the calligraphy fight, and it's like,
The
okay,
calligraphy fight is really cool.
it's like, okay, this is like this is like an interesting idea. I appreciate this. Would I have enjoyed it more if I watched the show itself? I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not on the wrong track.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I thought the characters were like surprisingly fine. You know, I watched the whole thing in one day, like without ever wanting to die. So that's got to say something.
I feel like that might be the way to go about it. Just like get a straight adrenaline rush.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
And like people say that it was super rushed, but I feel like if it went any slower, I would have hated it.
Yeah.
You know, I just liked being sure that I could like start the next episode and within 5 minutes I would be watching a cool fight. You know?
I think that's why that's like the most that's like the reason why I've seen people praise this is that like it's just straight nonstop balls to the wall chaos, and that's fun.
Yeah.
You can almost respect that. Well, I mean, you can respect that. It kind of feels like a show that sets the bar low, so it can't really like go that high, but it can't really go that low either.
Yeah, right. And you know, like the power system doesn't make any sense, but they never like try to give it rules, so that's not something that bothered me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was really ambitious enough to do anything wrong.
Yeah, I could
Which
see.
is why I can't understand why anybody would be like upset about the show.
I could see giving it anywhere between like a 4 and a 6.
Yeah.
Really? My God. These
No, you can't like this show. You can't like these webtoons. They're so bad. Haha, punch go bird.
Manhwa go.
Yeah. No, but I understand. I mean, you know how it be.
Sometimes it do be that way.
Sometimes it be like that.
But somehow Noblesse is even worse.
No, okay, we can hate them because they might have tangentially been responsible for that one Haikyuu episode looking bad. So that one's on my shit list.
Fuck you.
I've not seen it, but I will blame them for it, and I will get angry.
Well, you're allowed to because it looks bad. I'm really surprised by production and by how awful it looks. It's boring.
We'll never forgive them ever again. Well,
I will never forgive the Japanese.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, did you guys have anything else on God of High School?
Nope.
Only contempt.
Yeah.
Oh well. All right, so that was actually it for the new anime that came out, the non-sequels at the very least. going to have a bit of a section for a couple of anime that were originally airing in spring and then got delayed by the coronavirus and finished in summer instead. So the one that I saw, sorry, out of all of these is Appare-Ranman. Thank you. All right, guys, Appare-Ranman. I got this fucking sick idea for a show. All right, you want to hear it?
All right, let's hear it.
All right.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's 1920s. Yeah, late 19th century. Whatever. Who fucking cares? And it's going to be about a Trans-America race with all these weird kind of steampunk sort of cars or something.
Okay, I'm listening.
All right. All right. Also, it's going to be about a samurai revenge story, and also a Native American revenge story, and also it's going to have like some cowboy shootouts and a train heist and all these sorts of things. So basically what I'm saying is that my problem with, I think I figured out the problem with PA Works, because like I feel like PA Works is a studio that we want to like because they give a shit about their animators. They do a good job. They care about the quality of their stuff, and they do lots of originals. They're an interesting studio, but they just can't.
I would agree with all that.
You do or you don't?
No, I do agree with all that.
Okay, fair. But the problem is they just fill their shows with so much crap. Like, they can't just make an original anime about one specific thing. Like, I saw this show and it's like, all right, weird cars racing across America. That sounds fine. And if that's what the show was, it probably would have been fine. But that's not really what it is. In fact, this show has so many things going on that it's like you get to where they're actually racing, and then it's like 5 minutes later, they bring in another plot element that completely stops the race and they have to do something else instead. It's like the anime is so, it's literally a racing anime where it does everything in its power to not have racing in it. It's kind of amazing. And it's like, this is consistent with so many of PA Works' shows where you get like, I don't really know what the hell Sakura Quest was supposed to be about. That also had a lot of stuff going on. They did this other show called Kurumukuro, which I believe was like an alien invasion, but it also had these mechs.
It's a mecha anime,
and it also
right?
had samurais, and it was also a high school anime, and it was like so many different things. They did Haruchika, which was literally if you take Hibike Euphonium and just make it Hyoka instead. It's literally a concert band, but they do mysteries instead. I don't know why. It's like all their stuff just has so many unnecessary things to it. And
now let's hold on though, because they've also done some pretty good shows.
In the past, sure, like Shirobako is good. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like they also it's like, but Shirobako was 6 years ago at this point. It's like it feels like it's been forever since PA Works has really done a great series that, you know, gives us a reason to have good faith in them.
I would argue that the Eccentric Family, which was only 3 years ago, was a really good show.
They did the Eccentric Family?
Yeah.
They've also done a lot of shows with Mari Okada, like when they did Nagiyasa, Hanasaku Iroha. Those shows are like pretty well liked.
Also old.
Yeah, they're old, but I mean, they've had their bangers in the past. But
in the past,
right.
Sure, but in like the current day, they just make a lot of stuff and none of it
Technically,
sticks.
everything is the past at this point.
Yeah.
Technically, it's all come and go. But yeah, I mean, I think he got a good point. I know Fate has kind of beef with them, and he kind of views them as the.
I don't know why he hates PA Works so much, honestly.
It's pretty funny. I mean, he's got his reasons.
I know he really hates Sakura Quest, but I don't know why.
I think he just thought it was boring.
Yeah, there are a lot of PA Works shows that some people, especially Tay, hate that I think are like kind of nice. You know, I put Sakura Quest in there.
I think that was a 6, yeah.
I'd put that one about the witch who gets sent like back in time and becomes friends with her grandmother. Yeah, you know, like they're pretty boring shows, but they're pleasant, and I enjoy watching them.
I think you can hold, you know, content against boring just as much as bad, because sometimes boring just feels like an absolute waste of time. But it sounds like the show Maz is talking about is not
Yeah,
boring.
this sounds
it's
like a
just
very
misconception.
different sort of problem.
Yeah,
It's
this sounds
like-
just like misconception.
I don't necessarily know if it's boring. It's a show that does a lot of things and it doesn't do any of them well.
Yeah,
Basically,
and that's sad.
So a mess.
yes, it's a mess. That is that is a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I've been feeling like similar with PA Works for a while. Like every time they bring something, I'm like, this is kind of goofy. It makes no sense and weird. And I'm confused. Didn't they make like this one show like lately too with the girl that can't see colors or something?
That was
Yeah,
the one
yeah,
with the
yeah.
wizard
That's
sent back in
the
time.
witch who gets sent back in time.
Right, that was also like just so confusing and awkward. I just turned it off and minded my own day. That was so weird. But that's how I've been feeling with that show since 4 years now. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's fair. And with shows like that one is called
Iroduku.
Irozuku. Yeah. Seikai no Ashitakara. It's like definitely a very boring show. But it also has like some very authentic feeling like heartfelt moments in it that I felt made it worthwhile. And I feel the same way about Soccer Request too. Like it wasn't the best show ever, but it wanted to do a very specific thing and it was very passionate about that thing. And as a result, I appreciate what it was doing. So I think PA Works gets more hate than it deserves, especially because its good shows are really, really good.
What was I gonna say?
I just checked. You gave Yurozuku a 4, and I was like, "Yo, he must have given it a 6 or something."
Did I give it a 4? That's funny.
Yeah.
He doesn't even remember.
Epic.
I don't know. I guess I'm not. All that I remember it from it though now is like a couple scenes that I really liked. So maybe I should bump that up.
Yeah, I think it's tough. A lot of shows have those kinds of, it might overall have not been that good, but it had a few moments that stand out that made it worth. So,
I mean, like I've been watching seasons since 2012, so I've watched like Glass Slip come out, and I watched, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Like, it was really like bottom of the barrel from especially a studio considered top class at that point. So I was like, "What the fuck? How did they make this? This is like the most boring shit I've seen in my entire life. Inconceivably boring."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
I also did like a first impression of Appare-Ranman. It was just, this is just messy. I'm gonna pass.
I actually liked it in the beginning because it did this kind of Sorayori opening where it's like, all right, we're going to get to the main plot of the show, but first we need to establish for like 3 episodes how exactly we're going to get there. And I actually thought that was nice because that's when the plot was the most focused. And as Panda called it, it was, now this is pod racing, the anime.
Oh, now I remember. I don't think PA Works is hated in general.
They're not,
Yeah,
they're
I
not
think
hated.
it's
Maybe
Tay.
I just
It's
spend
just
too much
Tay.
time around Tay.
Yeah.
It's just Tay. And Tay, I think, respects them. He just thinks he's just on the opposite end where he's heard a lot of hot takes of people saying PA Works is better than Kyoto Animation, which I think the majority of people would not agree with. But when you're in like a small community,
a super mud take.
yeah, like, and it's a super small, when you're in small communities with very hot takes people, then you kind of overcompensate for their hot takes by saying, no, not good. So I think it's a
Fair
mixture of a lot of people still consider Kyoto Animation the best studio, but they also have room in their hearts to respect PA Works, which is generally where it's at. But sometimes it gets skewed depending on who you talk to.
Also, I remember when Sakura Quest came out, a lot of people I knew really loved it and gave it like a 9 upon completion. So that was interesting. But yeah. I sometimes forget PA Works exists though, I have to admit.
Yeah, same. I'm not that invested in them as a studio, but respect when they have a good show.
Yeah.
Also, they bring out like a show every year, not, just one, which is rare in these days.
Yeah.
But you respect the hustle.
Well, that out of the way, the other delayed anime from spring that I think only F watched this, but this was Fugou Keiji Balance Unlimited.
Have you guys seen the first episode of this?
No.
I don't think
Nope.
I'm all alone on this hill.
Sorry, I
Sorry.
forgot what happened. I remember putting this on my plan to watch, and it's still marked as plan to watch on my list, but I don't know. I just didn't watch it. I think I just ran out of time or something.
So the show starts with this detective police, what is it called? Like some sub department that do like tinier cases and blah blah blah. And it's basically about this super rich detective coming to Japan and helping the MC and shit. And he has like unlimited money. It's just kind of James Bondy and shit. But the show doesn't really commit to him being able to just to buy everything. Like it kind of sounds like at the start that because it looks like from the framing of the at the end of the first episode that Dempsey's like, I'm gonna show you cannot buy everything with money, and he's like, haha, but I have like all the money. You think that might be the theme of the anime, but it's not for some reason. They don't really commit to the whole gimmick. It just
So
kind of
it like sets up him having shitloads of money like as the thing, and then just like abandons that.
yeah, it's just kind of there, and like all these episodic cases with them doing some random shit that's just kind of bad most of the time. And then halfway through it, like introduces like a revenge plot with a rich man. His dad allegedly killed his mom, and he ran into the room and saw it, and then it evolves into this mystery, and it kind of hangs this prize in front of our eyes, like it's the dad. It's actually the dad that killed the mom, and like we see him, but his face is always covered by shadow and shit.
Sure,
And then
the
it
classic.
turns out it was actually it wasn't him, and the guy we've been seeing the whole time was like in a mask. It was actually his grandma. And then I found out it was by the Erase director because when the grandma became evil, her eyes turned red.
Oh,
no
nice.
And then by the end of the show, I realized I was tricked into watching Erased again, and it made
So
me so
that's
mad.
what you were referencing.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
That made me die inside.
God, the stupid fucking red eyes. I forgot about that, honestly.
Me too.
But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It was not good.
That's unfortunate.
What a
Pass.
shame.
I forget. I keep forgetting to ask this, but what did you score it?
I give it a 4.
Okay. I also gave Appare-Ranman a 4, so that checks. That tracks.
We check out.
Yeah. Okay. So that was it for the non-sequels. So now we're going to get into actual sequels. Yeah, the first one, which is still ongoing, is Fire Force. Second season of Fire Force.
So let me tell you guys, nobody is more surprised than I am how much I'm enjoying this season of Fire Force.
Really?
Huh. That's pretty dope.
You know, I thought the first season of Fire Force was like strictly fine.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Maybe a little bit less than fine.
Sure.
I think this season of Fire Force has like patched up all of the things that I didn't like about it.
Really?
Yeah, you know, like the like most annoying characters aren't getting any screen time.
Thank God.
Yeah, like the cool and interesting characters are getting more screen time.
Ooh.
Like the antagonists have actually like grown on me a lot. I think the White Clad might be like some of my favorite villains that I've seen in quite a while.
Impressive.
You know, like just in terms of like their aesthetic, you know, like none of them are like exceptional characters by any means, but like, you know, like Karan is like the huge black guy who like wears the bandana over his eyes and just like shouts monosyllabic things every time he like does anything, and then explosions happen. It's like watching him every time he has a fight scene is just like such a joy because he's so nuts. You know, there's like a sheer like primal joy in seeing a huge guy shout "walk" and then he takes a step and the entire ground explodes. You know,
Yeah.
it's just cool. It's just straight cool.
Some pretty dope shit.
Yeah. The plot is like pretty predictable, but also like plays to themes that I'm a sucker for, which is like half-baked religious themes. And yeah, I don't know. that I don't really have much else to say about it. Just that I'm really enjoying it, and I didn't really expect myself to.
That's
fair.
really cool to hear because it's one of those shows that has a lot of interesting aspects, like the concept, world building, the powers, and especially the aesthetic. And a lot of the Sakuga has been really impressive, but it always kind of had a disconnect between all of those elements. And you have the ongoing, like, what's her name? Tamaki with, yeah, like that fan service, which is just intrusive enough, I should say, to kind of make you feel uninterested in continuing. But, you know, if all of those elements came together, I could see it being definitely one of the strongest aesthetic shows in recent times.
Tamaki's screen time is way down.
Thank God.
And it doesn't completely solve the problem, but we will take it. We'll take the small way. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge sucker for fire powers in general. Like, you know, when you watch the shows when you're growing up and you're like, oh, what's your favorite element? Mine was always fire, even though my like horoscope is not fire, so it kind of sucks, but whatever. So I always like that. So I always want to like fire shows. So
what is your horoscope? What is your horoscope? Fire.
But you know how they are. Like you have
all the horoscopes have elements.
Yeah, they all have elements. So
I don't know anything about this, honestly.
Oh, I have to. I will give you guys the full rundown. My mom was
horoscope podcast soon.
Horoscope podcast where I read your horoscope and be like, your moon is behind Saturn or something.
Why do we need Western horoscopes when we have a Japanese horoscope?
That's true.
Or sorry, the Chinese horoscope.
Yeah.
Which has given us the greatest anime of all time, Tyson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Want my fire Juni Tyson horoscope. Yeah. But yeah, so I love fire stuff, so I'm gonna get back to that.
Yeah, I would recommend picking it up, especially because, like Shy, you are, like, generally speaking, a fan of shonen.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm that basic bitch.
You are that basic bitch. And if you like shonen, I think the shonen is worth watching.
Nice.
I'm glad that this is the kind of anime that got 48 episodes. Like, this works for a long-running shonen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I haven't seen this yet. I've only seen 2 episodes. But I like Fire Force, or at least I want to like Fire Force. So hope I will get on that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
What I have seen a sequel of is the 2nd season, first part of ReZero, which was very unfortunately cut short. Like this, it definitely was supposed to be 25 episodes.
Yep.
They just kind of end the season out of nowhere, and it's very unfortunate. But yeah,
that's sad.
But what's there loved? So yay, I am having fun.
Sean, it's interesting. You watch this?
Nope.
No, I will catch up.
I watched the first episode. This is another one of those things I was like, oh, I could watch this. And then I was like, no, I'm going to be nice to myself.
I always just take I would be like, Sinris, I'll take your opinion on this one. I have a feeling it's going to be actually a pretty good season based on what I've seen posted around. So I'm kind of excited to get to it. But yeah, I was saving it up to binge it because I didn't want to watch it weekly. So I'm excited to get it.
This season probably would work on a binge because it's just one straight continuous arc, and they throw so much at you within these 13 episodes that it's again, we really need the last 12 episodes right now.
There's a lot of moving pieces. You're like, what does this mean?
Yeah. And I think in general, I mean, I can't speak from experience. I will rewatch to confirm, but I think I would have definitely enjoyed ReZero a lot more if I binged it instead of watching it weekly over 2 seasons. So I'm going to try and do that with this one.
Curious what makes you say that.
I think it's a show that is very I don't know, it's kind of a thriller. So I think it's really cool to watch thrillers as much as you can. Binging them in succession is really fun. And I think the pacing is actually pretty good. So I could have seen myself maintaining emotional attachment to everything more if I watched it in one sitting instead of over the course of 4 months.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
But I'll for sure to rewatch it anyway, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I would definitely prefer to binge this, and I think I'll have more fun with it. But looks pretty interesting. Looks like we got some cool galaxy brain plays. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm glad you guys liked it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
when this first started, I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes at first, and then I fell behind, and then caught up with it like when it was over. And at first, I wasn't enjoying it too much, and it was like kind of worrying me because I really loved the first season, and I was so excited to see the second season. So when the first couple episodes happened, and I wasn't super into it, I'm like, oh god, like am I like really jaded, or is ReZero like actually not good? I don't know. But then as the season goes along, it gets into some like it finally starts to bring back like, okay, this is why I love this season. This is why I love this series, and really has some dope shit in it.
Yeah, it takes like a little
we
while
love
to
dope shit.
get kicking, but then it kicks in really good.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. How do you say the white-haired enchilada's name?
Echidna.
Echidna? Okay,
Echidna.
I was close. So
Oh, I said it. So, I said it. I said it. I said it
calling
wrong
her-
a long time.
I'm calling her enchilada.
You
Okay.
can call her enchilada. We'll allow it.
I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
good
it's
enough.
close. It rounds up. So she looks really cool, and I heard Maya Sakamoto did like one of her cool scenes in like one take, which is pretty expected of the goat. Like
Oh, it's
Dope
Maya
shit.
Sakamoto.
yeah. So
Yeah.
dope shit. We stand. Light eyelashes that match light hair are bad, and the design is bad. I will never stand for light blonde or white eyelashes that are like very prominent in a design, and I don't like it.
I'm like mixed
A
on her
horrible
design.
take.
I
No.
Here's the thing. I really like the aesthetic of her design, and I like what they were going for. I don't think she looks good in the show itself.
Yeah, I'm looking at the light novel one. It looks good. The
Yeah.
light novel design is good. Her in the show looks cursed.
I
Like,
think
she-
it might
looks
just be
bad.
because of the backdrop she's on, where she's in the hilarious and original Windows XP backdrop.
Yeah.
So it's like this very bright background that she's overlaid on, and it's like her as a character, her design is so bright that I like can barely see her face.
Yeah. And
She's really
this is
bright.
not-
That's true.
And this is not a ReZero only take. I feel the exact same way about the new Legend of the Galactic Hero Reinhard
Yeah.
design and his
Oh,
sister.
that's so true.
Those blonde eyelashes make me want to die. Like, I don't care. Make them brown. I know it doesn't match and it would make sense consistency. It looks bad and it offends me.
You just said Lowenheim should like dye his hair.
Dye your eyelashes
Dye your
so I can
eyelashes.
approve of your design.
I just
Those are
stuck
my
with his
notes.
name, but whatever.
I'm going to write him a note and be like, bro, this ain't it. Dye them, please.
I really like the white eyelashes and white hair, and also that's
Me
really
too.
bright because it's like really striking and spooky and makes me scared a little bit.
Well, I
She
guess
looks like
I'll
a
agree with
ghost.
that, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll agree with the spook, but like, I don't know if it's supposed to be this spooky.
What I really like are her brown eyes that are really drawn interestingly. Like the irises are very interesting. I'm like, ooh, that's like a brown that actually like. I don't really like brown eyes otherwise. So there's
Yeah.
other witch that also has really interesting eyes too.
I looked her up just to see another example of her anime design, and when you look her up and like, it's like a fucking porcupine comes up. So that's kind of dope.
I mean,
Like,
I didn't know
without
Echidna
ReZero
was
in
a
the
thing.
title, it's like
I did
a
not-
fucking porcupine.
I didn't know that
Yeah, that's
Echidna
what an
was a thing
echidna is.
until this.
See,
So
this
I'm
is why
very
she should be named Enchilada. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Didn't any of you ever play Sonic?
No.
No.
I'm not
do I
well
look
versed
like?
in the Sonic verse.
Knuckles the Echidna, fam.
Oh.
Oh, it all makes sense. They're related.
Epic.
But sure, you can
Um,
also call it Dona. Some people call it Dona too.
What? Call her what?
Dona.
Dona? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. We're on a
Do
first
people
name
call her
basis.
that like for a reason?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
I saw it on
Okay.
Twitter. I was like, who the fuck is Dona? Do they mean Echidna? Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lying right now.
While we're complaining
my-
about Echidna, though, she did have my favorite like moment of any anime this whole season with the 360-degree animation.
I love
Oh, yeah, and
that.
that
I
shit
that
love
was
was really
fire.
dope. That looked dope. That looked like the.
That was-
That's when she does the one take scene. I
Yes,
think.
that's her big grand
The big-
speech. So what I like this character, she's the Witch of Greed, and the thing is, she's like surprisingly normal. She doesn't seem like all that unique of a character, I guess. And it's like, okay, well, what exactly is her deal? Then she gives this big speech at the end about how she's like you kind of understand her motivation, that she wants to know everything about the world. She even kind of I don't know if this was intentional, but she says something along the lines of, I only know what I know. And it's like,
wow, so she's the best character in the show.
some would agree with that. But yeah, and then at like the end of the season, she has like this huge speech about how she wants to use Subaru, and she wants to use his power so that she can obtain all the knowledge in the world. And it's like this, it's very fascinating. It's just the splendor in her speech and the way they present it is just really cool.
Good use of the word splendor.
Thank you.
This
Nice.
season kind of suffered some production take backs.
Yes.
Like you could tell some shading was off, and Subaru's face was not good a lot of the time. But then they put like shit like this, like a full-on 2D model in like a 3D space 360. I'm like, I will take it. I love it.
They definitely, I think they optimized their limited time and resources very well, because the scenes where it's like characters standing around and talking, clearly they didn't give a fuck, but the dope scenes looked dope.
Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
That's cool.
You like it
Respect.
when a show is smart about how it uses its resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the OST I thought was even better than the first season too. Like the Roswell theme, I will download the second it's out.
Yeah.
Did
I'll
they
be
use the
real,
cool
like-
witch noise?
You guys saying that like
No, I think.
yeah, Maya Sakamoto has an incredible scene is definitely making me actually want to watch it now.
Group watch, let's go.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say. It's like there's a lot that I kind of want to say, but I guess it's a lot of it is just like, well, we need the second half to go further.
Yeah, I will keep some thoughts too when it's over, really.
The most interesting thing is that, like, I think the biggest problem, like the reason why I was so hesitant to appreciate the early episodes is just because, again, there's so many different things happening, and it gets kind of overwhelming. And I guess you kind of wonder, like, okay, is all of this really necessary? But then you kind of find out later on that the whole point is that there are branching paths and things, and it's like the fact that there are so many conflicts is kind of the point, and was like, it's like set up to be this way, essentially. It's a pretty clever take about challenging Subaru's return by death, where it's like, all right, we're going to throw you into a situation where no matter what you do, it should not be feasibly possible to do everything. And that's the most interesting thing that's happening.
That sounds pretty cool because, you know, like I have a lot of negative opinions on the first season of ReZero, but I always thought like the concept of the plot seemed really cool and was like invested in the mysteries and everything.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely willing to like give it a shot if it sounds like this season is where we start getting like payoffs to that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
It is, and it sounds like that's what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. Otherwise, I will just threaten you.
Cool.
Fair.
Guess we'll find out one way or another.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's move on to OreGairu real quick.
All right. Last anime on our list is the final season of OreGairu.
I assume only I have watched this again.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
No, I'm forever on the sequel train. Well, it's already implied before it was a complete snore fest. This season had a huge problem with lighting. I actually screamed every episode how bad the lighting was.
Yeah,
You had,
I
like-
remember seeing screenshots and I was like,
Yeah.
yep, the light is not it.
Not only is like most of, like for some reason, a lot of this season is like in the, what was it called before evening, before it really gets dark? Dawn? No, it's the other one.
Yeah.
Dawn?
Oh,
Okay,
no. Dusk.
The other one. Go with Rick.
Why is it not dusk? Is that not what you're thinking of?
Is it dusk?
Dusk or dawn?
Dusk
Yeah.
is
Dusk-
the off. Yeah.
Yeah, dusk is the nighttime one.
Okay, so dusk is very orange, and like there will
Yeah.
be scenes where they're like under a light source, but there isn't really any light coming from anywhere, and there will be like objects in the background, like vending machines that just emit light at watt count that shouldn't be imaginable. I was like, who made these decisions? And yeah, the whole plot is just moving at an agonizing snail pace. And again, it's another show I wrote a review about.
Is this how, for reference, how did you feel about the first 2 seasons of OreGairu?
Oh yeah, I think I mentioned this last time, but my backstory was I watched season 1 when it came out and liked it, and I recently rewatched both seasons. I watched both seasons when they came out, but season 2 was always a little mixed on because I didn't really get it. But recently I rewatched them and I came to the conclusion that I don't like them because it's rather cliche and predictable and awkward. And most recently watched season 1, so he can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious to watch on Twitter, by the way. I loved it.
I'm glad you
it so
enjoyed my pain and suffering.
I hope you did.
That's always the worst thing to me, is that it's not disliking anime, it's disliking anime that a lot of people really like, and it's like, man, I have good friends whose taste I really appreciate, and it's like, it shouldn't feasibly make sense for me to hate this much. But
Well,
I do.
One
Think about it.
One thing, Maz, that I remember you saying when you were watching OreGairu that I thought was funny because it accurately described me as well, was saying that like you were putting your takes out there about how much like you hated it, and you were seeing people like popping off like, yeah, tell them, and then you look at their score and they gave it like a 6 or 7,
and then I gave it a 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you're on point. You match your takes.
Which is really funny because that like describes me extremely accurately, and I don't really get why that is. You know, like I don't think it's that bad, but it gives me like a savage joy to watch people say that it's terrible.
I think it's because we've seen such a degree of praise for this series, to like the upteenth degree of people like unironically comparing it to Catcher in the Rye on the same level. And like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but
Yeah.
come on. Like,
That's
I'm
a
not trying to be that
practical
guy
joke.
who's like, you can't call anime or manga peak fiction if it means a lot to you, but let's like hold the phone. Catcher in the Rye is one of the best films of all time. It's like an all-time classic. This is a light novel written by a guy who may or may not communicate with people outside his house based on his own tweets. Like, that's like his own jokes of like, we don't know. And I'm like speaking in hyperbole, but like, I think it's just one of those series that we've seen such a degree of praise for that it's kind of like, yeah, I don't feel like I mesh with this. And even if I don't dislike it to the same degree as Maz or F, like, it is kind of nice to see a change of pace, to see takes that like I somewhat understand more than the overabundance of praise.
Yeah, that
it's
makes
pretty
sense.
accurate.
You know, like I don't think the show is a 3, but I think it's closer than a 3 than it is to Catcher in the Rye.
I would hope most people would kind of agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
if it I see a lot of takes because I feel bad because, you know, we've shared our opinions on it. We're all kind of on the same page to different degrees. But there's a lot of people who love the series. They feel like it really helped them learn important life lessons about, you know, opening up to communication with others, you know, not blaming them for their problems. You know, a lot of good lessons to be learned from this, and it greatly touched their lives in a time when when they needed that. And I'm like, that's really cool, and I'm glad for you, and I'm glad it meshes with you that much. I don't feel the same way, but it's fine. So I do feel bad for people, but I do feel worse for the people who had it mean a lot, and then they slowly fell out of love with it. And I think this last season, to a lot of people, was really kind of like letting them down for a story that meant a lot to them. And I saw that from a lot of like really big fans who were looking forward to it for a while. So for them, I feel really bad. I don't know, just kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
And I think
surprised
another.
because,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
you talk.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think another element of it too is for like every person who, like you were saying, Shah, says like, yeah, the show means a lot to me. Like it helped me like figure out some stuff about like communication and opening up to people and stuff. For every like person with a good takeaway like that, you see a bunch of people who are like, yeah, like Hachiman is so right that
Oh,
girls
yeah.
are the worst.
Oh yeah, nice girls so bad, hate them.
Yeah.
Like spot on.
What was I gonna say? It was weird to me because I expected like everyone to love the season and me going mid every week. I didn't expect to give it like a 3, which I did end up giving it. But then when I finished it and gave it a 3 and wrote my review, and then I got Yukino to read my review and I agreed with my review, and that was when I felt poor joy in my heart.
Yeah, when someone's username is Yukino season and they agree with your 3 out of 10,
Oh boy.
that's not looking good.
That was just beautiful. And I feel sad, I feel bad for him because he loved it so much. But like the fact that he appreciated my review means a lot to me.
Yeah.
For context, because some people will be like, these clowns, they didn't like OreGairu to begin with. Who cares? What do they think? For context, our fellow podcast member Kavrik, he loves the series. He has, I think, at least season 2, at least in his like top 15. Like, he's a very big fan of the series. For context, he gave season 1 and 8, season 2 and 9, and then season 3 of 5. So
I just saw that.
I'd say it's a letdown. Wow. Yeah. So don't trust us, trust Kavrik. But if you're listening to this, you've probably already seen it. So, I mean, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am sad, though. It's always sad when a show ends and you don't get a good conclusion for something you've been waiting years for. That's sad.
Hearing what you said about Cav, that like totally derails my main takeaway from OreGairu that I was.
Well, pretend I didn't say that about Cav.
Okay, here's the thing I think about OreGairu. The main reason why I actually watched this is because my friend Coolager has been telling me to watch it forever. It's one of his favorite series, and it's he's someone who I usually line up. Like, our tastes are very similar. So something interesting that he told me one time is that I gave Toradora a 10, and I haven't seen Sakura-so. I think he gave Sakura-so a 10, and then he watched Toradora and he gave it a lesser score. And he's told me that it's not necessarily that it's not that one is better than the other necessarily. It's more like your enjoyment of it depends on which one you see first. And that's kind of how I feel about Monogatari and OreGairu. And maybe you can throw in Bunny Girl as well, because people compare those as well. And I feel like how much you enjoy Monogatari compared to OreGairu just depends on which one you see more. Because Coolager hasn't seen Monogatari and he loves OreGairu. I love Monogatari and I never saw OreGairu until recently. So I wonder if that's how I've always felt about it. I don't know if that holds up.
I don't know. I don't know about that because, I'll definitely all day say that Yukino is like a bad Senjogahara. But I don't think that OreGairu is a bad Monogatari. I don't think the shows really have anything in common with each other.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, weird comparison.
I do think it's an interesting point because they do get compared so often and you see so many comparisons to the characters. So I think it's fair to say they all pull from similar tropes, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I do think they go about them in different ways. But I think the reason some people like OreGairu is different from the reason other people like Monogatari, if that makes sense. Because I think a lot of people really like the group dynamic of OreGairu and the subtle, not spoken, relationship tension and about, people figuring themselves out. And it's a lot more about that group dynamic. Whereas to me, Monogatari was always more about the individual relationships impacting Araragi. And it doesn't really have that same group dynamic. So I think there are reasons to like both to various degrees. But I think when it comes down to presentation, it's kind of tough to compare the two when, F is talking about how it has weird lighting and then, almost every shot of Monogatari is like wallpaper material for different reasons. So
yeah, you tell me.
Yeah.
10 by 10 was about it.
Yeah, you made that, and that looked gorgeous.
9 by 9 actually. Yeah.
But I do think you have an interesting point about it, Moz, because I do think people will come to appreciate different things depending on when and what order they watch things in.
Yeah, the fear is definitely true to some degree. I agree.
Yeah. And, you do have a good point because I think all of us saw Monogatari first, then OreGairu, and then Bunny Girl, and I think we all like it in that order. So,
yeah.
The theory has not been disproven yet, at least by us.
I like Bunny Girl more than OreGairu for sure.
Well, that just disproved my theory, so that ruins everything I just said. It's all ruined. It's all done.
Deleted.
Shit.
Control Alt Delete myself.
Damn it.
I want to talk about Shokugeki Season 5 real quick, because I watched that. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who did, so that's why we didn't talk about it on the podcast. We completely forgot about it, or I completely forgot about it, so whatever, it's fine. I know doing a solo section like this probably isn't very cool, and I've talked about Shokugeki a lot in the last few months, so it's like... I'll basically the short version of this. Like, I'd like to elaborate on this further in another podcast, or like if I do my own video about it, which I would like to do someday. But basically, the short version is that the final arc of Shokugeki like throws out so many of the great things of the series. Like, I know it's weird to think that a series about girls with clothes exploding when they eat good food can just somehow be so stupid that everybody hates it. But the thing is, Shokugeki was always a fun exaggeration. Like, it was a weird, exaggerated series that still had some semblance of logic to it. Like, the reactions would be insane, but if they were still making actual food, and one of my favorite things about the whole series is that they would actually give you the recipes of what they were making in volumes of the manga, so you can make it yourself, and that was really fun. So it was just a really exaggerated, fun shonen. And season 5, basically, it turns into a shitty superpower series. So the main villain, this new villain that they introduce, his power is that he can touch a cooking utensil, and whoever used it, this guy will gain all of the abilities that this guy that its previous user had. So like, he steals Soma's dad's knife and now has all the abilities of Soma's dad. That's literally just how it works. Just by touching this knife, he just gains all of these abilities. It's like, it makes no fucking sense. I know Shokugeki has done things like this in the past, where chefs would have like weirdly specific skills. Like, you'd have the guy who could copy other people and copy all of their skills, but he would be able to do this by literally stalking them for days and have this incredible attention to detail where, he would just be able to project. He would just get so good at observing them that he could project himself as this other person. So again, it's ridiculous. It's kind of nonsense, but it still has this thin semblance of logic to it. That's like, okay, it's like, it kind of makes sense, at least a little bit. This guy, again, he just grabs a knife and he's like, yeah, now I know everything that this other chef can do. It makes no fucking sense. This new villain is actually Soma's brother. Yeah, did you know that Soma has a brother now? Well, it turns out that Soma's dad took care of some kid when he was overseas, and so don't worry. No, they didn't. You didn't miss anything. You didn't forget that they implied this at some point, because they didn't. They never hinted at this. They never implied it at any point in the entire series. It's just dropped on us one day that Soma just has like a long lost brother or something. And remember Soma's dad? You remember how he was set up to be like the greatest chef ever, and how Soma's always trying to surpass him? Well, Soma's brother just kind of defeats him in a Shokugeki in a 5-0 victory off screen, so we don't even get to see this happen. It just happens one day. So yeah, that whole plot line of Soma trying to surpass his dad that they've been building up since literally the first minute of the entire series, yeah, that's just thrown out the window. That never actually happens. And Erina, how, like, one thing I liked about Shokugeki is that it actually had some pretty good character development. Like, Erina, I like how they establish Erina as the bad bitch from the get-go, but they end up recontextualizing her character, where she has this traumatic backstory where she was like abused by her dad, and that's why she is the way she is, and then she ends up growing by opening up and making friends with Soma and all of his friends. how nice that was? You know how they built that up for 4 seasons? Well, that's just kind of thrown out the window as well. She just becomes bad bitch again, but in a much more straight-faced way, like not in a lovably kind of comical, fun way that they did in the beginning. No, she's just a bitch in this season because the God Tongue, you know the God Tongue where she just has this crazy sense of taste? Well, that's a literal curse, actually. The God Tongue is a curse where everything just tastes bad except for, only the greatest things ever created. So no matter what Erina does, she can never achieve her pursuit of making good food or something for her mother, who also has the God Tongue. So yeah, her traumatic backstory and all that really contextualize her character. No, she's the way she is because she has a curse. That's what Shokugeki is now. It's a series of curses and shitty superpowers. And you know how they made food? You know how they made food and you can make it yourself? Well, now this season has people making shit with fucking chainsaws and military-grade explosives and fucking stupid juggling pots and crazy syringe machines that suck out blood out of meat. That was my PS4. Yeah, they probably use a PS4 at some point in this entire series. Everything's on the table. Everything is possible in this series because nothing makes sense anymore. Nothing makes any fucking sense at all. They bring in these new side villains who are like these really shitty Akame ga Kill ripoff characters. It's not good. None of it is good. None of it is fun. It's really bad and it sucks. And it's still with all the terrible presentation that they've had for the past, 3 seasons or whatever. So the show doesn't even look good. And the story has just completely gone down the toilet. It's just really bad now. So that's why. If any of that made sense at all, then yeah, now you understand why Shokugeki got really bad in the final arc. Like it's literally just a sudden drop. Like season 4 was great. I really like season 4. In fact, story-wise, I think season 4 was the best that Shokugeki has to offer. And in the manga, like easily, best content of the whole series right there. So if you like Shokugeki, if you watch the first season or 2 and you're like, oh, I haven't caught up to it, but I hear it gets really bad at the end, watch the first 4 seasons. Or read the first 260 chapters of the manga, because that's all still good. It's just that this season just like kind of comes out of nowhere. It's totally extra, and it just ruins so many things. I still stand by what I've said before, where season 4 really feels like it was the true end of the series. And then season 5 is like the creators of the manga trolling everybody. Like, let us die. Let it end. It's over. We shouldn't have to do this anymore, because it's just so unfathomably bad. It's so unfathomably bad. It's just it's just such a sudden and such a sharp decline that it's like, how can this happen? I don't know. I've said this a lot in the past, and I think I've made my point. So Shokugeki bad. The one thing I'm kind of surprised is that it is generally agreed upon that this was a bad season, that this was a lot worse than the rest of Shokugeki. But I still see a bunch of people giving it like 5s and 6s. I think that this shit just deserves a 1. It's just fucking bad. There's nothing good about it. It totally ruins the whole series, and it makes me want to die. Just like everything else in 2020. 2020 has ruined everything. It's also ruined Shokugeki, even though this part of the manga happened last year and the year before, but whatever, who cares? Yeah, so that's it. That's why Shokugeki Season 5 is bad. Okay, bye.
All right, well, on that note.
Wait, I have one more. We just have one more thing to say.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because you guys, at first I was like, okay, so who wants to go first with this? I have the thing to quote.
Okay, greatest anime of all time. The Pokemon music video that was released recently called Gotcha.
So like, I think when people hear like Pokemon music video, they'll be like, okay, we get it. You guys like Pokemon. Who gives a shit? Everyone needs to stop listening to us and go watch the music video. I swear to God, because it is probably an all-time favorite music video across all music mediums, all of the genres. It's just like the best thing ever. If you've been having a rough year, just go watch the music video right now. You'll feel happy. Just do it. And if you don't trust me,
Gotcha literally cured coronavirus.
It didn't cure coronavirus. But if you don't believe me, trust the #1 reviewer, Mozilla Fennekin, when he says, when art was invented in My Hero Academia by Walt Disney in 1690, his exact words were, I have created art because one day a Pokemon music video will be created and will make Mozilla Fennekin shit his fucking pants.
That's pure poetry.
Like, I'm pretty sure Moz is the writer of our generation. I'm not being ironic. Like, that's the best sentence I've heard all year for the best anime I've seen all year for the best music video of all time. We're not worthy. Thank you, Moz.
It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the song is by Bump of Chicken, so like every time they make a song, you're like, wow, I'm gonna cry. This is the best thing I've heard. Feels for days, you know.
Like, it's just the most amazing fan tribute I've ever seen because all the callbacks are amazing. Like, it's like 2 minutes, and they call back to every single individual thing about the entire fucking Pokemon series. It's amazing. I don't know how they did this. I don't understand, like, the 2,000 IQ that must have gone into planning this whole entire thing and finding ways to shove everything in, as well as new things. They make their own new characters, and they have tons of personality, and I want to watch an anime series about them. Please make an anime about them. And it's by Studio Bones, who is one of my favorite studios. They might just be my favorite studio now.
Give us the music video duo.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll watch an anime about them.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like as into it as Moz, but I started crying after like the 10th watch. It was very embarrassing. No, it's not on. It's weird. Don't encourage me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, but it's so good. It's so much fun. It makes me happy. I hope everyone watches it.
I wish the actual Pokemon games were this good.
Yep. I saw everyone on my town freaking out. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And then Cynthia and Red and Blue showed up, and I was like,
oh my god, oh my gosh. My friend was like, if only they put as much passion into Sword and Shield, but we should probably not get into that.
Yeah.
Like,
For what it's worth, the Pokemon anime is generally, it's maybe not as good as this, but it is very, very good. I'm still watching Sun and Moon because I've only gotten like 60 episodes into that, and every time I watch an episode, I'm just like, oh, anime is good. I like anime a lot, and I like Pokemon a lot. I just don't like the new games.
And now, because we're not allowed to end on a good note, are we all in agreement that this is probably the worst season of anime of all time?
I almost don't want to give it that distinction because it's like, it feels like a default win, you know? It's like, it wins because it didn't show up.
Yeah, and I feel kind of bad because I saw some people just saying like, oh yeah, 2020 has been a pretty weak year for anime. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Like, the entire world is under attack from a virus. Like,
I don't even
no
know
one's
if I
having a
agree
good
with
year.
that. Like, people are like, oh, 2020 anime has been so bad. Motherfucker, we got Kaguya Season 2, which was better than Season 1. Well, actually, I don't think it was better than Season 1.
I think it's better than Season 1.
It's debatable, but it's very close. Ishizoku Reviewers, which I thought was great. Dorohedoro, which is a fucking amazing anime.
I also liked.
Yeah.
We had...
And this season currently...
Eizouken.
Eizouken was there. That was a good show. I thought the My Hero Academia this season, which came into 2020, that was really good. And this season we've got fucking best anime of all time. This season, fucking Majo no Tabi Tabi, fucking Witch Hat Waifu, amazing anime of the year. Anime is saved, and everyone who hates episode 3, you're wrong, bad.
I think I just realized. The 2020 has so little anime coming out that I agree with most on most things. Like, holy shit, now that I think about it.
That's nice. It's good.
Yeah,
and we do have the Pokemon music video. So I don't think it can be the best season by default because I like the Pokemon music video.
Yeah,
in general.
We will literally die next, like, 2020, 2021 winter, spring? I'm confused as fuck. What is the next season after fall?
Winter.
Oh, fall and then winter.
We fucking winter 2021 is like completely stacked.
We have 20 sequels and Horimiya.
I mean, we'll see if all of these things actually stick around for that season or get.
Yeah, good point.
But...
It looks like a nightmare. I'm scared.
Yeah, I mean, you could just tell me last season of Attack on Titan, like second season of Promised Neverland, second season of Beastars, and I would be like, yeah.
Promised Never Weekly coming back 2021.
That will be fun.
Hell yeah.
For me, it was definitely the worst seasonal year I've been around with, which is a lot of years. But like as Mo said, it's kind of the default because nothing has come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yep.
I still think it's the worst.
It's probably like, it's probably like actually the worst, but I don't know. I feel bad saying
due
that.
to extenuating circumstances, sure, but
Yeah.
Mathematically, it's the worst.
Yeah, let's go that
Sure.
way. Gibiate bringing it down by default.
I still personally think the worst season was summer 2017 because even though it had Princess Principal and Made in Abyss, that was the season of anime strike, so we couldn't even fucking watch them normally.
Yeah.
17.
So at
Yeah.
least we had that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's like a random actual like
oh no,
You know,
that was
normally-
the season with Kakegurui, so it was great.
there are definitely some seasons that were like, they actually tried because they didn't have a worldwide pandemic, and I didn't
Okay,
think they were
actually-
good in the organic
wait.
way.
That was
No,
also the
Maz,
season
you're
of
right. This
Fight.
season fucking
It was
sucked.
also the season of Fate
That was terrible.
Apocrypha.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Auto
no.
Girl.
Yep,
and
you
and
win. You
Isekai's smartphone, bro.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is
You
that was
you win.
oh god, this was such a bad season.
You win.
Anyway, sorry for
Made in
interrupting,
Abyss
Shop.
was like the only good
It
show.
made in a
Oh, no, you're-
Oh no, and it had Owari's second season. So that bumps it back up to being good.
Oh wait, I remember. Okay, I have really fond memories of us recording this episode, so I don't find it as bad because I remember us talking about Koitu Uso. Like no one gives a shit about that.
I
but
liked
was
that
fun.
one. That was a funny show.
I think he get- Yeah, that opening was pretty catchy.
I just the word.
This had NTR Trap. Oh my god, the prequel to Citrus. Let's go. Actual goat season, Maz. You are wrong. This
NTR walked so Citrus could run.
That's so true.
It actually hurts.
It's so true. Oh my god, I got some funny screenshots from that. I should post that. Oh well.
Yeah, I
Alright.
think we should pack up soon now.
Let's back up.
Time for
Yeah.
F to go to bed.
It's amazing that we actually had a 2-hour discussion about this season.
We
Yeah,
do
I'm
this
actually
every time.
surprised.
We do this every time.
Yeah, I guess
every
so.
famous
We
last
are
words. It'll
eminent
only be an
professionals.
hour.
You give us 6 terrible shows to talk about, we will fill 2 hours.
We will.
I mean, we're
For
just so
better or
passionate
worse.
about how much we hate Rent a Girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
mostly,
we did like spend an hour on that shit.
Mhm.
for sure.
So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for listening to us complain for 2 straight hours. It was a very negative podcast. I apologize, but whatever.
But we love you and we love everyone here.
Yes, thank you
Excellent.
very
Love you.
much for all the support. Fall impressions coming soon, hopefully, where I gush about witch hats for 2 hours. Look forward to it. Tutu mofos.
Woo.
That's
Nice.
it.
Nice.
And done.
Epic.
Yep. And on to the next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
bye.
Well, I'm not leaving just yet.
All right, gang.
Okay.
Let's start watching fall anime right now.
Hell yeah.